Hard to believe, but it is week 7 of the high school football season, and that means we got a lot in the rear view, but certainly much to look forward to. Of course, we're going to talk about last week's games and the big games on the schedule for this week, but we'd be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit. We're only going to talk a little bit about it because it's been all over the media, about Matt Lindsay. Steve Kiefer named the head coach. They beat Concordia 27-0 this past week. The Allen County Sheriff's Department still has a case out there involving Matt Lindsay. They're looking into it, and hopefully we'll know the results of that this week. At least that's what they said. So how has this team, in your eyes, responded to what was a huge week of turmoil for the Knights?
It's hard to imagine that these kids and the coaches and the administration, everybody in the Lures community could have gone through a more distressing week than they did last week. But obviously the players responded well once they got on the field and could just worry about executing their plays, their offense and defense. And the thing about this football program is, I don't want to diminish the importance of Matt Lindsay in building the program and that sort of thing, but they have a lot of veteran assistant coaches. This program really didn't skip a beat last week. They have a lot of senior leadership on that team, a lot of veteran assistant coaches. Steve Kiefer is not a young guy that has never been around this block before. He's done this many, many times. So I didn't think Bishop Lures would skip a beat, and they didn't.
Coach Kiefer, in talking to the media when he was named the head coach for the rest of the season, he said that he was going to run the football. It's going to be more of a ground and pound type of attack. I think we saw that, although the weather may have had a factor, but we saw Jalen Smith getting the ball more on the ground early against Concordia. Is that a dangerous thing for teams in this area to see Jalen Smith getting the ball more earlier in these games?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I really never understood why they didn't utilize him more. Now, they do have so many different weapons to tap into, but Jalen can run the ball so well. And like you said, especially as the weather turns bad in October and November, we get into these rain and sleet, and you're going to need the running game. However, you're also going to need decent quarterback play to keep the defense honest. So they still will pass the ball. They still will get the ball to the Mullins and the Jemisons and all those weapons that they have out there, the Michael Rogers. But yeah, I think that there's no doubt that Jalen Smith is going to see increased carries. In fact, I was told that he ran the ball in the very first play of the game the other night, and that's a sign of things to come.
Yeah, they pretty much ran it down their throat, and then Nick Morgan took it in for a touchdown. So they were running right from the get-go in that game at Zollner Stadium. Lures has Northside this week, and that's going to be a big game. We'll dissect that in a little bit. But Northside, of course, coming off a loss to Snider. You were at this one, 17-6. Snider taking absolute control of the SAC, almost ready to clinch this thing for the first time since 2005. What was your key Friday night as Snider was able to beat Northside?
Well, the Snider running game and the offensive line play were just fantastic. Now, the offensive line had a lot of penalties. They got to clean that up. They weren't perfect, but Snider had 3 guys run for at least 71 yards, and Tyrell Swain, Janori Smith, and Nick Reese. They can just pound you over and over and over again, and then their defense is really, really good. It was aided by the weather the other night, because early on when it was still a dry field, C.J. Jackson and some of those Northside kids that have great speed, they were able to get 12, 13-yard runs. They were attacking the Snider defense. As it turned muddy, and that really took away Northside's biggest advantage, and the Snider defense was able to capitalize on that, and that was really the key. But offensively, they ran the ball really well. Defensively, the weather helped them. And I don't want to take away from the Snider defense. It's a great defense, but the weather did play into their hands. Snider, they've got to clean up 2 areas if they really want to be an elite team. And I'm talking get to Lucas Oil Stadium elite. They have to stop having 11 penalties in a game. They have to be more disciplined, and they have to increase the ability to or improve the ability to pass. Only 5 completions the other night. I know it was rainy. I know their emphasis was on the run, but they have to keep the defenses more honest than that.
And I don't know who said it, but they said somebody said last week, I think it was going to come down. Special teams were going to play a huge factor in that game. Josh Spitnail doing what he does. He was a big key to that victory for the Snider, not only just at the tight end position, but especially in the kicking game. And they've got as good a 1-2 tight end combo, Snider does, as anybody in this, I got to say, anybody in the state.
Oh, sure. Josh Spitnail's punts were unbelievable. It's hard to get really excited about punts, but he was pinning Northside back against their own Snider's end zone. And now part of that was Northside didn't pick up the ball or fair catch the ball. They basically didn't want to try catching it in the rain and then have a fumble. But yeah, Spitnail was unbelievable. The kicking game for Snider is a huge advantage for the Panthers.
And we thought the ACAC was definitely Leo as the front runner all season long. They got a good test. We knew Heritage was good coming in.
Great test.
And this one went to overtime, 13-10. Zach Farron, probably the hero of the week, probably walking with the chest puffed out at Leo High School this week, and for good reason. 2 huge kicks as Leo stays undefeated. And this one not without controversy, Tom.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Heritage had its opportunities. They had an opportunity in the final minute to punt and pin Leo back and make them go the length of the field to drive for that, to get in that position. Bad snap resulted in Leo recovering the ball in the 21, which there enabled Farron to have good position to kick that field goal. And then on the final play, the clock was ticking down. Both teams were running substitutions on there. Leo was trying to get their field goal unit on there. Dean Lehrman didn't think they got it off or got lined up before the clock ran 0. The officials huddled. They had a penalty, called delay a game, put 1 second back on. Lehrman didn't comment to our reporter after the game. And so, yeah, in fact, I saw on Twitter somebody was saying that Heritage was filing a protest on how the game ended. But, it's done now. Leo did kick the 34-yard field goal to force overtime, then another 24-yarder to win the game. So, yeah, Zach Farron, he has no shortage of prom dates this year after that last weekend.
Yeah, he'll be picking them out, and that's good for them. And, of course, Leo still at the top of that conference. Garrett's still undefeated. We'll have to see how this one plays out. All the games this week will be down in Muncie at Ball State on Saturday. So it should be an interesting week to be an ACAC fan. You can see every team play down there in Muncie.